What's going on in France is they're doing massive protests. 3.5 million people protested across the country, while 800,000 demonstrated in Paris alone. And there it is. There's some of it. I'll show you some of it, right? A lot of people. Look at all this. They got smoke bombs going. Look at that. So what are they protesting? Pension reform. They call it reform. Pension reform. They're raising the retirement age. That's what they're protesting. There's no reform happening. Reform, pension reforms. More than 1 million people demonstrated across France on Thursday against unpopular pension reforms, and violence erupted in some places as unions called for new nationwide strikes and protests next week, coinciding with King Charles III's planned visit. This is from NPR. Of course, that's how they worded it. Of course, that's how they worded it. They called it pension reforms. And then, of course, they're violent. Immediate first thing, violence. The Interior Ministry said the march in Paris marred by violence. Violence. As were numerous marches elsewhere. Drew 119,000 people, which was a record. So how much of that violence was started by the cops, I wonder, huh? Which was a record for the capital during the pension protests. Polls say most French oppose President Emmanuel Macron's bill to increase the retirement age from 62 to 64. That's what this is about. They got millions of people in the street in Paris. They're going to raise it to 64. You know, they're raising it to 67 in America, and no one even knows. No one even knows they're doing it. You know who knows? The people who are 60. Those are the only people who know. Well, now you know. Which is this says it's necessary to keep the system afloat. Yeah. Let's send some more money to Ukraine, though, right? We're going to keep Ukraine afloat first. Building on a strong turnout, unions. So the unions in Europe are much different than the unions in the United States. The unions in the United States are in bed with the companies they're supposed to be organizing against. The union leaders are part of the professional managerial class in the United States. They're not with the workers. That's the case most of the time. Now, there are some great unions and some great union leaders, Christian Smalls with the new Amazon union, things like that. The heavy wooden door of the elegant Bordeaux City Hall was set afire and quickly destroyed Thursday evening by members of an unauthorized demonstration, the SudQuest newspaper said. Look, let's look at some more violence. What about, remember when they set a police station on fire in Atlanta during the Black Lives Matter protests? Everybody thought that was a good thing. This is a bad thing. This is bad, right? That's what they want you to think. This is it. So there it is. So that's in Bordeaux. That's the Bordeaux Town Hall. Bordeaux, you know the wine Bordeaux. Is there a wine called Bordeaux?
Bordeaux.
Yeah, there's a Bordeaux. So that's where that comes from, and that's their town hall. And they set it on fire because they're trying to screw them over. And the French don't take this shit. You know, everybody in America likes to call the French, weaklings because they didn't stand up to the Nazis like they should have. But they don't stand. They stand up to their own government, and we don't. So we stood up to the Nazis. They didn't. We don't stand up to our own governments. They do. Nationwide, more than 1 million people joined protest marches held in cities and towns around the country Thursday. The ministry said Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin visiting police headquarters Thursday night as fire still burned in some Paris neighborhoods, gave assurances that the security poses no problem. And the British monarch will be welcomed and welcomed well. No problem. And he's going to be welcomed and welcomed well. Wah, wah. King Charles forced to postpone his visit amid protests. Yep. The French government expressed disappointment at this decision, as did one protest leader who said, "What? We just got the guillotine ready." The demonstrations were held a day after Macron further angered his critics by standing strong on the retirement bill that his government forced through Parliament without a vote. How do you do that? I don't know how the French Parliament works, but that doesn't sound very democratic. While the president tries to turn the page, this social and union movement confirms the determination of the world of workers and youth to obtain the withdrawal of the reform. The 8 unions, or so they want to. I can't believe they still even they refer to it as a reform. It's not a reform. It's a age raising. How about the withdrawal of the age raising instead of the reform? Reform sounds good. Reform sounds like you're fixing something that was broken. It called for localized action this weekend and new nationwide strikes and protests Tuesday. So they're going to go on strike over raising the Social Security age in France. Can you imagine the head of the AFL-CIO saying we're going to go on strike because they're cutting Social Security? I can't even imagine something like that happening in America. Like, I can't imagine it because it would never happen. That's how it is in France. The left is really connected with the workers. In the United States, the left is connected with the professional managerial class. And they don't care about the workers. They care about how many black and brown people or LGBTQ people we can get on a board, as opposed to, can we get all those black and brown and LGBTQ people, can we get them health care? Can we get them a living wage? Can we get them education that doesn't bankrupt them? Instead of stuff like that. That's what the left in America cares about. They care about bathrooms. They care about board memberships. They care about identity politics and tokenism. What they don't care about is stuff that actually helps blue-collar workers, like the retirement age that they just raised in the United States, and not one union said a fucking thing about it. Not one union said a damn thing about it. This will never happen in the United States over them screwing you out of Medicare or screwing you out of retirement age or Social Security. This is what happened in France. Those people don't take it. We take it in America. We are the cowards. Firefighters, right? Want to see this? Firefighters, smoke bombs in hand, are applauded by the crowd. They are heading towards the place of the opera. Watch this. So the firefighters are on the side of the protesters, and they're carrying smoke bombs. Even the cops took their helmets off and joined the protesters.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe this is hard to believe. Are you sure this isn't video from something else? I just can't believe the cops would join the protests. I got to double check. Everybody in the chat, you double check. Is this real video? Because there's the cops. They got all their gear on, like they're going to go fight stormtroopers in Star Wars. They're walking with the protesters. They do. They look like they're playing dress up. Like they're going on a Star Trek convention. So that's a pretty big deal. France is now covered with protests and strikes because Macron said there's no money to allow workers to retire at 62. In January, Macron directed major increases in military aid to Ukraine because the president wished to amplify this military aid. It's amazing we always have money for war, no money for the people. Well, in France, they don't take it. In America, we do. Why? Because Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes and Anderson Cooper and Sean Hannity, they tell us to. They tell us to take it. Were they screaming about that we were the only country that didn't get their paychecks when they did a lockdown over COVID? Every other Western country paid their workers their salaries when they locked down over COVID. They didn't do that in the United States. Was Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes and Anderson Cooper and Sean Hannity screaming about that? No. No, they don't give a shit about you because they're there to manufacture consent for the people doing that to you. That's what they do. Chrissy Hayes and Rachel Maddow and Anderson Cooper and Sean Hannity are there to manufacture consent for this. They're there to manufacture consent for the Ukraine war, for the China war, for the Libya war, for the Syria war, for you getting your Social Security cut. That's what they're there to do, and that's what they're doing. Where was that protest? Remember when Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow and Anderson Cooper and Sean Hannity told everybody to get in the streets over the raising of the retirement age in America? I don't either. Okay. When will America get in the streets and take that? When are they? You know why? Because remember in Canada, the truckers did it over the authoritarian vaccine passports, and they were right. And they showed you how to shut down. That's how you do it. You have to shut down capitalism. You have to put a pain. You have to put a hurt on them. That's what does it. So those kind of, and you have to make legislators be afraid. Yes, the legislators should be afraid of the people. So now you have people feeling sorry for legislators because they're being threatened by citizens. They should be afraid of the citizenry. So let's remember, when the citizens are afraid of the government, you have tyranny. When the government is afraid of the citizens, you have democracy. I don't know if you know about this stuff. It's Field of Greens. Do you do this stuff? So I'm you're supposed to get 46 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, which I don't. I get maybe one. So if you do this stuff, it comes with a scooper. And then you put it in your, it's called a superfood because it's real food. It's real, it's organic, and it's a superfood. It's not a supplement. It's like food, and it's real food, and then they turn it into a powder like this. And you take the scooper, and you put it in a glass of water or milk or whatever you want. I put it in water, and I like how it tastes, actually. And it's supposed to be great for you. I don't eat like I'm supposed to, and this is supposed to help. So this is it here. So if you're into that stuff, it's called Field of Greens. And where do they go? They go fieldofgreens.com, right? So, and then use promo code Jimmy and you get 15% off of your first order. Or if you use promo code Jimmy, you can get 10% off of a subscription, which means, I guess, a recurring order. So fieldofgreens.com, use promo code Jimmy, get 15% off from a one-time purchase or 10% off. So that's the thing about this. It's all organic. It's all real food. It's not a supplement. And it's supposed to help you get, it's a superfood. That's what they call it because it's real. Okay, so I'll let you know how it goes for me. I'm taking it. I like how it tastes. They have different flavors too. So you can get it flavored if you want. This is the original that I'd use. And to me, it tastes like a cross between iced tea and fresh cut grass, but in the best way possible. Right? So go to fieldofgreens.com, promo code Jimmy, 15% off or 10% off a subscription. And that helps support the show. Thank you. Go to jimmydore.com to see my new stand-up special, COVID Lies Are Funny. For only $10, you get to become a premium member too. And come see us do our live shows. We're going to be doing stand-up comedy in Milwaukee, Nashville, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, New York, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Maryland, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.